All right, Jason. Well, last week we had story traders on Ben Rabizadeh. I think that's how you say it. He pitched us a stock, AEHR. The stock ran after that. Ben reached out to me and said, hey, I have a new stock to pitch. I was like, I want to hear it because the last one did so well. So without further ado, let's bring Ben on.
Take it away, baby.
Let's hear his new pick. I'm excited. Let's go.
What's up?
Welcome back to the Power Hour. As I said last week, we had you on. You pitched AEHR. Was a great call. The stock ran after we had you on the show. I believe it's up more than 100% since we had you on. So that worked out for you well, right?
It hit a high of, I believe, 909 in after hours. I did not sell. This is a longer term hold for me, and it's back down. It's back down to around the same price we pitched it at. And $20 million in orders in 6 weeks, EV orders. I wish the shorts good luck. They're going to need it.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, anytime now, we're in this era where if a stock has high short interest, my opinion is that can actually be a good thing for the stock. But let's get to the new pitch that we have today.
All right. Well, before I share the new pitch with you, I got to show this to you. I'm sharing my screen. You got to see this.
All right. We got it pulled up.
All right. There you see in that picture, Ted Farnsworth, who you just interviewed. That's myself, Mitch Lowe from MoviePass, and my friend Igal. It is like the stock market gods putting us on the same show today because, wow, MoviePass was the beginning of the evolution of StoryTrading.com. It was the very first research group we had. We had a couple hundred collaborators on MoviePass. We knew everything about that company, the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs. Fascinating story. Maybe one day we'll share you some of the inside story of what happened there with MoviePass.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier that it was just a fascinating story to follow, like from a media standpoint, seeing everything that was going on with it. But yeah, very small world that Ted, our first guest on the show, and now we're with you, Ben. So if you want to share your screen again, we can get some more color about this new stock that we have that StoryTrading is pitching. We need to hear the ticker, market cap, the thesis behind it. And, I told you this last time we had you on. I liked how you not only give color on the company and the fundamentals, but also from a technical standpoint. So you kind of cover all bases there.
Okay, great. Do you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
We always got to throw up that disclaimer. Got to do that. StoryTrading is not an investment advisor. Investing in securities involves significant risk of loss. All about StoryTrading. Everyone's signing up for the app, so make sure to do that. Now, today's trade is a little bit different. Last week in AEHR, we had an event reaction and a fundamental re-rating play with what happened with AEHR. Today, we have an event anticipation play. And again, the key to understanding what can happen in the future is understanding what happened in the past. SMSI has been one of the biggest research efforts, even bigger than MoviePass. We've had 300-400 people collaborating at StoryTrading on SMSI for the last several years. We just had a show about a month ago in our VIP events, and 31% of our members picked SMSI as the top pick in our community. It's also a VIP pick. So I always start with the chart. Look at this history here. I got phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. What happened over here? You had a big surge in end of 2017, went sideways, phase 2. Then you had a huge pop over there, phase 3, then 4, consolidation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history here and then tell you about the opportunity right after that. So phase 1 here, they signed so what is SMSI? They do consumer software. They create apps for wireless carriers, okay? Mostly focused around family safety. So they signed Sprint back over there. The stock tripled when they signed Sprint. What happened in phase 2? It took time for that to hit the bottom line. People were waiting for that revenue to hit. It took an amount of time. There was consolidation. And the story trading people who were on top of the research knew this was coming, knew that number 3, that phase 3 was about to hit because we were watching app rankings very closely. We're doing channel checks as a collaborative community, and we were ahead of that. People in our community, it was life-changing. We've had lots of millionaires created story trading because of that move from 2 to 3. Now, what happened after that? We've had a period of consolidation. Why didn't it keep going up? And by the way, got some little icons. So what happened over here? We had COVID, first of all, hit. Okay, slowed things down because they were selling these little dongles. Where are they? Here they are. Sprint Tracker. They're selling this kind of stuff so you can track your kids on buses and things like that. So that slowed down because of COVID. And then you had a merger by Avast here. They bought Location Labs from Avast. Also, what you had in here is T-Mobile bought Sprint. That created a lot of uncertainty. People were wondering, are they going to continue offering this software to T-Mobile because all the money's coming from Sprint? So that's the history of the chart. And now we're going to talk about what comes next. But before we do, we're going to talk about fundamentals, catalysts, and technicals. We have a lot to cover. I'm going to go fast. So fundamentals. This is a huge fundamental story, so we got to spend a few minutes on fundamentals. As I said, consumer software for wireless and cable providers. This is a recurring revenue model. They get, at least with Sprint, they got, for every person who signed up for their family safety software, they got a percentage of that. This is not like a annual license fee. This is based on usage. And once they're into the carriers, it's very sticky, huge moat, very hard for competitors to come in and displace them. And now with the merger, they effectively have a monopoly, by the way, when they bought Location Labs. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Fundamentals, DCF analysis, like through the collaboration in the community, we think that this stock can be $30 to $40 in 1 to 2 years. It's by the way, you asked about the market cap. It's around a $300 million market cap, trading somewhere around $6 right now. So let's talk about the fundamentals. Threw up a few charts here. This is the revenue. You can see how the revenue was surging over here. This was because of that Sprint deal, and the stock reacted right in there. It looks like a small move. That was actually a big move, okay? But then it stagnated, as we talked about. The profit margins in this business are crazy high because it's software, 86, 90%. And again, you can see that revenue dropping since the COVID happened and the T-Mobile merger. Over here, you can see the operating income. As the operating income was booming, it reflected in the stock price. And again, it went down the past year. So what's going to change? What's that catalyst? Let's find out. But first, what do we have here? Look at this chart. This is the most interesting one. This is institutional investor ownership. Revenue is going down. The stock is stagnating, but the institutional ownership keeps going up. What could that be about? I think it probably has a lot to do with that merger of Avast from Location Labs. They have a monopoly in this space now. Let's go to sentiment. Sentiment, not as sexy as electric vehicles, but they deal with big name carriers. Anytime there's something newsworthy with a big name carrier, it means lots of future revenue coming in. So that's a positive sentiment. We had the COVID delays in the T-Mobile merger, which is some negative sentiment, but that merger is now complete. So things got a good sentiment. That's the up and down, the consolidation in the past year or so. Concentration risk has been reduced because in that initial surge from $1 to $3, it was just Sprint, but now they have all kinds of customers in their pipeline. Now, some things that positive or negative, not sure, is what are the contract terms going to be with T-Mobile? The CFO departed some 10 days ago. I spoke to him. Everything's fine. The company's in great hands. He had an opportunity he could not turn down, getting paid like 3 to 5 times higher with a private company. So now, with that, let's go to technicals before we get into the real fun, consequential stuff. I think we might make news today. So technicals from Rexman, our favorite technical analyst. This is the chart he has here, and basically is saying the current trend breakout points to the 20s to 30s, which coincidentally matches that DCF target that our financial analysts have. That's really interesting because I did not bias Rex. When I asked him for a chart for today's show, I didn't tell him anything about the fundamental targets, and he came to me with 20 to 30s on the current breakout. But first, it must clear resistance at the 7s and 10s, his personal targets in the mid-15s. Now, the fun part, the catalyst, anticipation of inflection point. What happened here? July 13th. You see this? The stock's been moving up from 5 to 570 or so. Look at that volume. Something's going on. What's going on? Well, what happened on July 13th? An almost unknown event happened. Eitan Urbis, Vice President of Corporate Strategy. There was a webinar the SMSI had, a live webinar. No press release on this. Only 200 views on their YouTube channel. This is what he said. There was a Q&A session, an analyst asking about SafePath Drive. I don't know if some of you guys remember Sprint Drive. It's a little device you throw in your car, and you can track usage, miles, safety. You can track your kids. So an analyst talked about what's going on with SafePath Drive. SafePath is what SMSI calls their software. When a T-Mobile or Sprint takes it up, they'll brand it under their own name, such as Sprint Drive or T-Mobile Drive. So in reference to SafePath, the first launch, this is word for word what he said, the first launch of it is actually this summer. In fact, this month. By the end of this month, with one of our partners, I won't steal their thunder. We'll let them issue their own press release. It is a household name in the world of mobile phone use, and there are others to follow. Now, stay tuned. I'm going to give you a link so you can listen to that for yourself. So we think this is Safe Path Drive based on our research. We speculate based on research and other data points. This is T-Mobile, well-researched speculation. Now, he said by the end of the month. Now, T-Mobile has earnings later this week, but just this morning through a collaborative effort, someone reached out to T-Mobile customer service, and they found out there is a big app update to their legacy software for family safety called Family Mode, and they're updating that on August 9th. The details customer service provides strongly points to this being the Safe Path solution from SMSI on August 9th. So it might be 9 days late, or maybe they're going to announce it before the end of this month and launch it August 9th. Now, if you want to hear that for yourself, straight from the horse's mouth, this is a special link we just put up for today. It goes straight to YouTube. Just to forward an easy link, storytrading.com/SMSI. You can watch the 40-second clip for yourself. And regarding that quote, he said there are others to follow. They already have a relationship with Boost, but it can be strengthened with more software applications. And Verizon, we think that's to follow. AT&T is a customer for one of their product lines, so lots of potential opportunities and customers to come.
Yep, and I just threw the link to that YouTube video in the chat. And Ben, this is what I love about what you guys are doing at Story Trading. Like I said, it's not just the fundamentals. It's not just the technicals. It's when both are kind of coming together. So we had the technical price point, which matched up with the fundamental price point. And certainly some interesting catalysts look like that's coming soon. So I want to open up the chat to some questions right now for you, sure. Ben. So chat, if we have any questions about SMSI, Ben and his team over at Story Trading has done an abundant amount of research on the stock. So thank you, first of all, Ben, for coming back on the show, for sharing another one of your picks with us. I can see that the stock is moving now. Let me just get a chart of that pulled up real quick on Benzinga Pro. And let's see what kind of questions we got coming in the chat. Long term, you said this could be a $20 to $30 price target, but in the short term, maybe more around the $15 range.
Well, there's technical resistance in the 7 range. There's always psychological resistance at 10. These are not my personal targets, but Rexman, that technical analyst who I follow on Twitter, he said his personal target for this run is the mid-15s.
Got it. Let me get this chart shared up. All right, so we do have some questions coming in. Where can EPS go? I don't know if you've done any research on kind of earnings per share. Chris is wondering, is now a good entry point on SMSI? So, I mean, look.
So from the collaborative research in the community, I'm not a financial model guy. I'm not a spreadsheet guy, but I can tell you that people who do the spreadsheets in our community are looking at $1 or $2 in EPS over the next few years. I believe they did right before COVID and before the T-Mobile merger. I believe they did 10 cents in EPS, which is a 40-cent run rate for the annually. And T-Mobile is far larger than far larger than Sprint. And they have lots of other offerings now with Boost and other customers. So if that was 40-cent run rate, it just goes to follow this. This could be in the dollars in terms of EPS in the next few years.
Yep, and I've got this chart pulled up. We're looking at up 8% today. But if you look at what's interesting to me here on the chart is for the past 2 weeks, we've seen this uptrend kind of establish.
That was us. That was our community. That was our community buying on the webinar. As soon as that webinar came out, that was spreading in our community, and we were buying.
And that's what I love again about what y'all are doing is that, this YouTube video, you said it has 200 views. There's no press release out about it, but you guys are there doing the research kind of collaboratively and finding that information that is useful to investors. So Zinger Nation, give Ben a like, smash the like for Ben, check him out on StoryTrading.com. And like I've always said, we're stronger in numbers. So when you have a team of people that are, researching stocks with you, it will always make it better than if you're just doing it on your own.
Great. And I just want to say, this was just a coincidence that we had 2 great stocks in like a week or two. Things like this don't happen all the time. We've been on top of these stocks for years, right? We know these stocks so well, and these inflection points are here. And honestly, it only takes like 3 or 4 big winners to totally change your life. So we're not going to come back here on this show and force ideas. It was just kind of luck that it was 2 in a row. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ben, for letting us know. So I see people in the chat are asking for your Twitter. That is just at StoryTrading. I will drop a link for that.
And also personally at Ben Rabizadeh.
Yep, I'll get that in the chat as well. And yeah, I mean, I know, Ben, I'm not gonna be able to reach out to you for some of these winners every single week, but when you do have them, you know, you got to let us know. We'll get you back on.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll be able to make some good trades together.
Sounds good. Producer AB, it was nice being here today.
Thank you again for joining us, Ben. And I see some people in the chat asking about BBIG. Please scroll back in the video. We had Chairman Ted Farnsworth on earlier. Great interview there. Great company as well. So if you're interested in BBIG, just go back to the beginning of the video. He joins about 15 minutes in. And so we've got BBIG and then another great stock pick from Ben, SMSI. And that'll about do it for today's episode.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Thank you, Ben. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.